The mop hit him square in the face. For a heartbeat, the entire universe held its breath. The extraction cables stopped humming. The fluorescent lights froze mid-flicker. Even the air itself seemed to pause, molecules suspended in shock. Welcome back to Emmy Romance Collections. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment your best parts as you walk through the journey of the story with us. Maya Chin-Null, janitor, nobody, had just smacked a 12-foot-tall primordial alpha with a wet mop rag. Damon Ashford's glowing purple eyes went wide. Water dripped from his nose, trailing down the tribal tattoos covering his face. His lips, pulled back in a snarl meant to terrify, slowly closed. The growl that had been vibrating through the bedrock beneath the Acheron vault's deepest cell cut off mid-rumble. And then he did something that made Maya's heart forget how to beat. He knelt. The chains binding his wrists and ankles rattled as the most dangerous predator in captivity lowered himself until his eyes were level with hers. The platform shook. The extraction ports embedded in his skin flared bright with stolen energy. When he spoke, his voice was gravel crushed under glaciers. Make me. 2 words. A challenge. A complete appending of every power dynamic between Alpha and Omega, prisoner and keeper, monster and mouse. Maya stood there, mop raised, water dripping, and thought, this is how I die. She was wrong. This was how she lived. 16 hours earlier. The Acheron vault wasn't like other prisons. Built 200 feet underground beneath the glittering city of Orin, it didn't house murderers or thieves. It contained alphas, true biological alphas whose strength could bend steel, whose roars could crack concrete, whose very essence was harvested to power the city above. Maya had worked here 3 years. 3 years of mopping floors, being invisible, accepting that her null designation meant she was worthless. Unable to bond, unable to respond to pheromones, unable to matter. Chin. Supervisor Patterson's voice crackled through her earpiece. You're late for Cell 0. Maya's hands tightened on her cleaning cart. Cell 0. Where they kept him, the primordial, the prisoner so dangerous his cell occupied an entire sublevel. Acknowledged, she said flatly. The elevator descent to sublevel 13 took 4 minutes. With each level, the air grew colder. By the time the doors opened, her breath misted. The corridor was different here. No other cells. Just one long hallway lined with cables thick as her torso, all pulsing with bioluminescent energy, blue, gold, sickly green, converging on a single massive door. The extraction array. Stealing life force to power streetlights and coffee makers. Guard Rivera waited at the entrance, nervous despite her hazard suit. You sure about this, Chin? He's been vocal tonight. Before Maya could respond, a subsonic growl rolled through the corridor, resonating in her chest, making her teeth ache. Frost crystals formed on metal surfaces. The primordial was awake. And angry. I'll be fine, Maya lied. The inner door opened to reveal Cell 0, a cylindrical chamber 50 feet across, carved from bedrock. Extraction cables covered the walls like veins, leading to a raised platform in the center, where Damon Ashford stood chained. 12 feet tall despite obvious emaciation. Tribal tattoos covering every inch of exposed skin, patterns that seemed to shift in peripheral vision. Long black hair hanging past his shoulders. Massive shackles on wrists and ankles, attached to chains connected to the extraction array. 8 extraction ports embedded in his skin, 2 on his neck, 2 on his inner arms, 2 on his chest, 2 on his thighs, glowing as they drained him. 1 heartbeat at a time. But his eyes stopped her cold. They actually glowed, fierce purple luminescence cutting through the gloom. Primordial eyes. The eyes of something that shouldn't exist. Those eyes fixed on her, and the growling intensified. Good evening to you too, Maya muttered, pulling out her mop. The routine was always the same: sanitize the platform, check cables, replace waste receptacles, leave. The warden insisted on humane conditions while slowly killing his prisoners. She approached the platform. Damon's snarl became a full growl. His lips pulled back, revealing filed teeth. The chains rattled. Maya had cleaned the cell twice before. Both times, Damon had ignored her completely, standing motionless like he'd learned that resistance fed the array. Tonight, he decided to be alive again. "Oh, cut it out," Maya said, surprising herself with her irritation. She was tired. Bone tired. She'd pulled a double shift, skipped lunch, and her feet hurt. She didn't have energy for territorial posturing. "I've had a really long day, and I'm not in the mood for your nonsense." The snarling stopped abruptly. Damon tilted his head, purple eyes narrowing like he'd never heard anyone speak to him that way. He probably hadn't. Maya kept working, mopping around his feet. The chains limited his movement to 15 feet, so she could work at the edges safely. Usually. Today, exhaustion made her careless. She stepped too far forward, focused on scrubbing a stubborn stain. She didn't realize her mistake until she heard chains slide. When she looked up, Damon Ashford was looming over her. Up close, he was terrifying. The tattoos pulsed with purple light. The extraction ports looked obscene. Mechanical parasites burrowed into flesh. Each exhalation released visible pheromone mist that would bring any normal Omega to their knees. Maya felt nothing. That was the blessing and curse of being null. Damon leaned down, face level with hers. The growl started again, deeper, vibrating through the air between them. A warning: submit or be destroyed. Something in Maya snapped. Maybe the exhaustion. Maybe 3 years of being treated as less than human. Maybe the injustice of this magnificent creature being drained to power hairdryers. Or maybe she just didn't care anymore. She reached up with her mop and smacked Damon Ashford directly on his nose. "I said, cut it out." The universe stopped. The extraction cables dimmed. The lights held steady. Even the machinery quieted. Damon froze, eyes wide. Water dripped from his nose. His mouth slowly closed. Then, slowly, deliberately, he knelt. The chains rattled as he lowered himself, bringing his eyes level with hers. But this time, no aggression. Just curiosity. Interest. Something Maya couldn't identify. When he spoke, his voice was rough from disuse, textured with an accent she couldn't place. And, unexpectedly, amused. "Make me." 2 words that shifted everything. Maya stood there, mop still raised, and realized something fundamental had just changed. She didn't understand what. Didn't understand why a noseboop with a cleaning rag had succeeded where 10 years of chains had failed. But in that moment, with his glowing eyes fixed on her face and a challenge hanging between them, Maya Chin knew her life would never be the same. "Well," she said finally, lowering the mop. "As long as you behave yourself." Damon's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "And if I don't? Then I'll hit you again." The laugh that erupted from him was like an earthquake. It started low and built into something that shook the walls. The extraction cables flared brilliantly, sucking away his joy, but he kept laughing anyway. Maya finished mopping while he watched, still kneeling, tracking her every movement. It should have been terrifying. Instead, it was oddly comfortable. When she finished and turned to leave, his voice stopped her. "What's your name, little Null?" She shouldn't answer. Fraternization was forbidden. But rules seemed inadequate after what just happened. "Maya." "Maya." He tested the name. "I am Damon Ashford, last alpha of the Shadow Main Pack, primordial of the Northern Territories, and apparently, yours to command." "I didn't command you. I hit you with a mop." "Same thing in my culture." Maya didn't know how to respond, so she left. But as the door sealed behind her and she faced Guard Rivera's bewildered expression, she realized she was smiling for the first time in months. "What happened in there?" Rivera demanded. "The readings went crazy, and we heard, was he laughing?" "I cleaned the cell," Maya said simply. "Same as always." But it wasn't the same. It would never be the same again. Maya was summoned to Warden Blake's office at 0600 hours, which meant she got exactly 45 minutes of sleep. She climbed the stairs from sublevel 3, where Null quarters were located, with gritty eyes and a body running on fumes. The warden's office occupied the penthouse level, floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of Orem at dawn. The city's glass towers reflected the rising sun in gold and amber. Beautiful and deadly, built on suffering. Warden Blake looked assembled from spare parts of more impressive men. Average height, thinning hair, soft hands. But his pale gray eyes held calculating intelligence that had earned his position. He didn't look up from his tablet. "Chen, sit." The irony wasn't lost on her. She sat in a deliberately uncomfortable chair and waited. Last night, something unprecedented occurred in Cell 0. Prisoner DA-001 experienced significant spikes in neural activity and emotional responsiveness. Cortisol dropped 40%. Aggressive pheromone output decreased 62%. Cooperation index increased by factor of 10. Blake finally looked up. "In 10 years, we've never seen readings like these. You were the only person in his cell. What did you do?" Maya considered lying. But Blake would see through it, and she was too tired for subterfuge. "I hit him with my mop rag." He was growling. "I was tired and annoyed, so I bopped him on the nose and told him to cut it out. He found it amusing." Silence stretched. Then Blake laughed, dry, humorless, but genuine. "A Null janitor did what behavioral specialists, alpha handlers, and 10 years of extraction couldn't accomplish. You made Damon Ashford compliant." He leaned forward. "Effective immediately, you're reassigned. Handler, grade 3. You'll report to Cell 0 twice daily, 0800 and 2000 hours. Your responsibilities include ensuring prisoner cooperation during extraction cycles and maintaining conditions for optimal energy output." "I'm not qualified." "You have something better than qualifications. Immunity." Blake pulled up a file showing 15 names, each with red notations. "Every handler assigned to DA-001 has resigned or required psychological intervention within 3 months. His pheromone output overwhelms normal omegas and most betas. You're immune. That makes you perfect." "What if I refuse?" "Termination for insubordination. Blacklisted from Orem employment. Relocated to outer districts where nulls are less protected." Blake's smile didn't reach his eyes. "But you won't refuse. Triple salary, beta quarters on sublevel 1, grade 2 cafeteria access, reduced 8-hour shifts. Top 10% of facility earners." It was more money than Maya had imagined. Better room, better food, better everything. A way out of Null quarters where mold grew and 6 people shared bathrooms. Opportunity wrapped in chains. What about safety protocols? You'll enter alone, guards make him aggressive. Vitals monitor and panic button. Any distress triggers rapid response with tranquilizers and neural disruptors. Blake paused. "But frankly, if Damon wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. The fact you're sitting here means he's chosen not to kill you. That's unprecedented. Chosen not to kill me yet. That's what hazard pay is for." Blake pushed a tablet across his desk. "Your contract. Read it, sign it, or leave. 5 minutes." Maya picked it up with shaking hands. Dense legal language, but certain phrases jumped out. Assumes all risk, waives liability claims, acknowledges potential fatal injury. She was signing her life away. Trading safety for a better cage. But she'd die eventually anyway. At least this way, she'd die with full stomach and clean sheets. She signed. Blake smiled. "Report to medical for monitor fitting, then supply for gear. First shift starts 0800. Don't be late." "And Chin?" "Damon Ashford has been in that cell 10 years. Autonomy stripped, freedom stolen, life force extracted daily. You're the first person who's treated him like something other than a battery. He will latch onto that. He will test boundaries. He will try to manipulate you. Don't mistake cooperation for affection. He's a predator. Your prey." Never forget that. Yes, sir. Medical was cold and efficient. They fitted her with a wrist monitor tracking heart rate, blood pressure, stress hormones, location. 3 liability waivers later, a nurse named Lynn looked at her like she was insane. You know what happened to Handler Brooks? 2 months in, started having nightmares, panic attacks, paranoid delusions. Said the primordial was in his head even outside the cell. Had to be institutionalized. Good thing I'm null then. Pheromone immunity doesn't protect you from physical danger. That thing could tear you apart. He's not a thing. He's a person. Lynn laughed, sharp and bitter. A person. He killed 43 people during the Alpha Uprising. Tore through a military battalion with bare hands. They say he ate commanders' hearts. That's not a person. That's a monster in a person suit. Maya yanked her arm away. Are we done? Yeah. Good luck, Handler Chin. You'll need it. Supply issued her a handler uniform, darker gray with actual pockets and reinforced fabric. Utility belt with panic button, flashlight, first aid kit, and neural disruptor spray. A tablet loaded with prisoner files and emergency procedures. Read the manual, the board clerk said. Especially Chapter 7, What to Do if Prisoner Becomes Hostile. Spoiler, run. At 0745, her tablet chimed. Early start. Cell 0. Now. Sublevel 13 was just as cold. Guard Rivera and another guard, Torres, large and alpha, waited at the entrance. Handler Chin, Rivera said with new respect. Prisoner DA, 001 has been vocal, demanding to know when you're coming. We tried explaining schedule changes, but A roar shook the corridor. Not a growl. A full-throated roar that made cables tremble and sent frost spiraling across walls. Pure fury. A predator denied something it wanted. Every 10 minutes since 0600, Torres said tensely. Whatever you did yesterday, he wants more. Maya's hand went to her panic button, then fell away. She wasn't going in scared. Fear made her pray. Open the door. The inner door opened. Maya stepped into Cell 0. Damon Ashford was pacing. 12 feet of muscle and fury, stalking across his platform, chains clanking. Extraction cables pulsed frantically, feeding on his agitation. Tattoos writhing across his skin. Purple eyes fixed on the door. The moment he saw her, he stopped. Fury drained away, replaced by something intense and hungry and almost relieved. He crossed to the edge of his chains and dropped to one knee. Same position as yesterday. Submission. Waiting. You came, he said, voice rough with unnamed emotion. I work here. Apparently I work for you now. I've been assigned as your handler. Something fierce and possessive flashed across his face. Mine. Your handler. Not yours. There's a difference. Is there? He tilted his head, studying her. You came back. Could have refused. Could have run. But you came back to me. I came back for the paycheck. Liar. But he smiled, showing filed teeth. You came back because you're curious. Because I'm the first interesting thing that's happened to you in years. Because when you look at me, you don't see a monster. You see someone just as trapped as you are. The words hit harder than they should. Maya forced herself to focus on her tablet. I need to run a health assessment. Standard procedure. Questions. Ask me anything, little null. Stop calling me that. Would you prefer handler? Maya? Or perhaps, mine. Maya is fine. She pulled up the form. How are you feeling today? Better now that you're here. That's not a medical answer. It's the only one I have. 10 years, Maya. 10 years in the cell, and yesterday was the first time I felt alive. First time someone touched me without fear. Spoke to me like a person instead of a thing to manage. So how am I feeling? Like I've been drowning and you just gave me air. Maya's fingers trembled on the tablet. Stay professional. Have you been eating? The nutrient paste? Barely. Sleeping? When extraction allows. Pain? Discomfort. Besides 8 ports draining my life force 23 hours daily? No. Perfectly comfortable. The sarcasm cut. Maya looked up, really looked at him. Skin too pale, stretched over bones needing more weight. Dark circles shadowing glowing eyes. Extraction ports inflamed, skin raw and infected looking. He was dying. Slowly, painfully, and everyone pretended it was fine because the city needed power. "This is wrong," she said quietly. "What is?" "This. You. All of it. You're a person, not a battery. This is torture. Careful, handler. That talk could get you fired. Or worse." But his eyes softened, hope flickering. "Why say it?" "Because everyone knows and pretends they don't." Maya set down her tablet. "I'm supposed to keep you stable and cooperative for efficient extraction. That's my job. But I don't have to like it." "Then why do it?" "Because the alternative is watching you die alone, and apparently I'm not enough of a monster for that." She pulled a small package from her belt. "I brought contraband." She tossed it. He caught it one-handed. When he opened it, his eyes widened. "Chocolate. Real chocolate. Actual food." Maya shrugged. "Figured you might want something that tastes like something." Damon stared like it was gold. His hands trembled as he unwrapped it. When he took a bite, his eyes closed, a sound of pure pleasure escaping. The cables flared brilliant gold, feeding on his joy. "Thank you," he said, voice thick. "You have no idea what this means. It's just chocolate. It's humanity. Kindness. Proof I haven't been forgotten completely." He finished slowly, savoring every bite. "I meant what I said yesterday. In my culture, when someone stands their ground against a primordial and draws submission, they become our anchor, our direction. You challenged me, and I knelt. That makes you mine to protect, mine to serve. I'm null. I can't be yours. I can't be anyone's. Your designation is wrong. You can't just decide that. I'm a primordial. I decide everything." He leaned forward. "You know what I see when I look at you? Someone told her whole life she's worthless, broken, doesn't matter. But you're none of those things. You're brave, kind, strong enough to hit a monster and not flinch when he kneels. That's not broken, Maya. That's dominant. Stop it." "Why? Because it scares you? Or because you're starting to believe it?" Her tablet chimed, handler chin, prisoner vitals show elevated emotional response. Recommend concluding session. They were monitoring everything. "I have to go. I'll be back tonight. 2,000 hours. I'll count the minutes." Somehow, she knew he meant it literally. As she turned away, his voice stopped her. "Maya? The chocolate. First kindness in 10 years. I won't forget it. And I won't forget you." "It was just chocolate," she repeated. But even to her, it sounded like a lie. Maya's new quarters on sublevel 1 felt palatial. 12 by 10 feet, actual walking space. Her own bathroom. A digital window displaying Orem's skyline. She could even change the view if she wanted. She left it on default and collapsed onto memory foam instead of a mat-on metal. Luxury. This was what cooperation bought in the vault. The price of making a monster comfortable while he died. Her tablet chimed. Handler performance review scheduled end of week. Maintain current cooperation index. Well done. Well done. She'd fed a prisoner chocolate. Professional achievement. Maya closed her eyes, intending to rest. Instead, she dreamed of Cell Zero with no extraction cables, no chains. Damon stood unbound, purple eyes blazing with freedom instead of captivity, reaching for her. Her alarm jolted her awake at 19:30 hours. 30 minutes until her next shift. She'd slept nearly 10 hours. She showered in her private bathroom, changed into fresh uniform, and detoured to the Grade 2 cafeteria. The difference was staggering. Real food, roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, warm bread, apple pie. Her stomach growled. She loaded 2 trays with identical meals. The cashier watched suspiciously. "That's a lot of food, handler. I'm hungry. Stealing rations for prisoners is a violation. Good thing I'm purchasing then." Maya held up her credentials. Both trays. Charge my account. The cashier processed it sourly. Maya carried both trays, ignoring stares. Rivera and Torres were at their posts. Rivera's eyebrows rose at the trays. Handler Chin, prisoners have specific nutritional requirements. Then someone should tell medical to stop feeding him paste that barely qualifies as food. Maya balanced the trays. Open the door. The warden won't like this. The warden wants cooperation. I'm getting results. He can choose which matters more. Open the door. Rivera hesitated, then nodded to Torres. The inner door opened. Maya stepped into cell 0 with 2 trays of contraband and no idea if this was brilliant or suicidal. Damon was waiting, kneeling at the edge of his chains, purple eyes fixed on the door. When he saw what she carried, his expression transformed into pure wonder. You brought me food. Real food. Don't get excited. It's cafeteria food, not 5-star. Maya approached, setting one tray beside him and keeping the other. But it's better than paste. Damon stared like it might disappear. His hands hovered over chicken, potatoes, bread, as if he'd forgotten how to interact with actual food. It's still hot, he whispered. Well, yeah. I just got it from… Maya stopped. 10 years. 10 years since he'd had a hot meal. Oh. May I? The question, a 12-foot primordial asking permission to eat, broke something inside her. It's yours. Eat. He ate like a starving man, which he was. Not fast, not desperately, but with reverence that made every bite seem sacred. He picked up the chicken with his hands and tore into it with filed teeth, eyes closing as he chewed. The extraction cables pulsed gold with his contentment, stealing his joy even as he experienced it. Tell me about your pack, Maya said suddenly. The Shadow main pack. What were they like? Damon paused mid-bite, eyes opening. Why? Because you're more than prisoner DA-001. Because everyone treats you like you materialized in this cell fully formed. Did you have people who cared about you? Something complex moved across his face, grief, rage, love, loss. Once. Long ago. Tell me. He set down the chicken and leaned back. The Shadow main pack was one of the oldest bloodlines. We traced ancestry back to the first emergence. We lived in the Northern Territories, 200 strong at our peak. Alphas, betas, omegas, all bound by pack law and blood oaths. What happened? The consolidation. The government decided independent packs were too dangerous. Sent military to relocate us to designated zones. We refused. The Alpha Uprising. We called it survival. They came with guns and chains and promises of fair treatment. We'd seen what happened to packs that cooperated, alphas locked in facilities like this, families scattered, way of life erased. So we fought. Reports said you killed 43 people. I killed 67. Soldiers who came to enslave my pack. I don't regret one. His eyes met hers, fierce and unapologetic. But it wasn't enough. They had numbers, technology, weapons designed to subdue alphas. They killed or captured everyone. My mate died in my arms protecting our cubs. I watched my pack fall one by one until I was the last standing. Then they chained me and brought me here. Silence hung heavy with ghosts. I'm sorry, Maya said. Don't be. It was war. Wars have casualties. He picked up the bread roll. What about you? How does someone end up in a prison 200 feet underground? That's not interesting. Everything about you is interesting to me. Maya looked down at her tray. I was born null. Tests confirmed it at 12, no pheromone response, no bond capacity, no biological value. My parents tried hiding it, but you can't hide that forever. By 14, I was in null education track, job training for positions nobody wanted. At 18, I applied everywhere. The vault was the only callback. Your family. Don't talk to me anymore. Nulls are embarrassing. Better to pretend I don't exist. She stabbed a green bean. So I came here. 3 years of mopping floors and being invisible. Then I got assigned to Cell 0 and hit a primordial in the face, and apparently that qualified me for promotion. Damon was quiet, studying her. Your family are fools. The designation system is a cage built to control people, to assign value based on biology instead of character. You're not broken, Maya. The world that calls you broken is what's wrong. Easy for you to say. You're a primordial, top of the hierarchy. And look where it got me. He gestured at chains, cables, cell. Power without freedom is just another cage. At least you can walk out at the end of your shift. Can I? I'm complicit in this. I'm keeping you comfortable so they can drain you more efficiently. I'm part of the machine. No. You're the first person who's treated me like a person instead of a resource. That's not complicity. That's humanity. He finished the bread. These are good. They're mediocre at best. They're warm and taste like something other than chemicals. They're magnificent. He paused. You'll be in trouble for this, won't you? Bringing me real food? Probably. But that's future Maya's problem. Right now Maya is watching a primordial discover mashed potatoes, and that's weirdly adorable. Adorable? I've been called monster, killer, weapon. Never adorable. Well, you're kneeling on a platform eating cafeteria food with your fingers and looking like I gave you the greatest gift. That's the definition of adorable. You did give me the greatest gift. Dignity. Choice. Kindness. He shifted closer as chains allowed. In my pack, we had a saying, feed your wolf and they'll follow you anywhere. You fed me, Maya. Not just food, but hope. Purpose. Something to wake up for besides the next extraction cycle. Do you understand what that means? That you're going to be disappointed when you realize I'm just a janitor with decent cafeteria access? That you're my anchor. My alpha. He said it with absolute certainty. I can't be an alpha. I'm null. Designation is what society says you are. Alpha is what you do. And you challenge me, care for me, stand your ground against a predator twice your size without flinching. That's alpha behavior. Your biology not recognizing it just means your biology is as broken as the system that labeled you. Maya stared at his hand, hovering inches from hers, held back by some invisible boundary he wouldn't cross without permission. She closed the gap, placing her hand in his. His hand engulfed hers completely. She felt calluses, scars, tremor of someone denied touch so long they'd forgotten what it felt like. He held her hand like glass, gentle despite obvious strength. The extraction cables flared brilliant gold. They're stealing this too, Maya said bitterly. Every moment of happiness. Let them. It's worth it. 10 years without contact. 10 years without connection. This moment is worth whatever they take. They sat hand in hand while the vault fed on stolen joy and the city above remained ignorant. Maya's tablet chimed, hand lurch in, prisoner emotional response approaching critical levels. Recommend immediate session termination. I have to go. I know. But he didn't release her hand immediately. Will you come back tomorrow? Twice a day. 0800 and 2000. That's the schedule. Then I'll count the hours. He finally let go, hand falling to his side. Thank you, Maya. For the food. For the conversation. For seeing me. You're hard to miss. You're 12 feet tall and glowing. You know what I mean. She did. Good night, Damon. Good night, my anchor. Rivera was pacing when Maya emerged. Handler Chin, medical flagged your session. Prisoner emotional levels were within acceptable parameters. He was calm, cooperative, responsive. Exactly what the warden wants. He was happy. That's not the same as cooperation. Isn't it? A happy prisoner is compliant. He's eating, engaging, stable. Those are objectively good outcomes. Rivera opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Just be careful, Chin. I've seen what happens when handlers get too close. They start sympathizing. Start seeing prisoners as victims instead of criminals. And then they make mistakes. What kind of mistakes? The kind that get people killed. 3 years ago, Handler Brooks got too attached to DA-001. Started bringing gifts, spending extra time, talking about system injustice. Then one day, Brooks tried helping him escape. The prisoner crushed his throat before response teams could intervene. Maya's blood ran cold. He killed his handler? No. Brooks survived barely. But that's the official story. Some think it was more complicated. Brooks never spoke again, so we'll never know. Rivera placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. Be careful. I will. But riding the elevator back, Maya couldn't stop thinking about what Damon had said. You're my anchor. My alpha. And the terrifying part was that some small, broken part of her wanted it to be true. The next 3 days fell into rhythm. Maya would wake at 0630, grab 2 breakfast trays, arrive at cell 0 at 0800. They'd eat together while Damon told stories of his pack, of the Northern Territories before the consolidation, of a world where alphas had been free. She'd tell him about her day, about handlers' lounge gossip, about things she was learning from training modules. At 2000, she'd return with dinner. More stories, more conversation, more moments where he'd hold her hand and the cables would glow gold while something inside her cracked a little more. On the 4th day, everything changed. Maya arrived for evening shift to find Warden Blake waiting outside cell 0 with 3 guards in different uniforms, black instead of gray, with Department of Alpha Management insignia instead of vault markings. Handler Chin, Blake said curtly. We need to talk. Maya's stomach dropped. Is something wrong? That depends on perspective. Blake gestured to the guards. The DM has been monitoring DA-001's output over the past week. His energy production increased 30%, excellent for the grid, but it's raised questions about your methods. My methods are working. He's stable, cooperative, healthy. Isn't that the goal? The goal is extraction efficiency, not prisoner welfare. One of the dam guards stepped forward, a severe-looking alpha woman with cold eyes. Handler Chin, you've been bringing unauthorized food, spending time beyond required supervision, engaging in physical contact. These constitute fraternization. Grounds for immediate termination. I'm keeping him stable. That's my job. Your job is maintaining compliance, not developing personal relationships. The guard pulled out a tablet showing footage from cell 0. Maya watched herself hold Damon's hand, watched him look at her with that expression definitely not appropriate for prisoner-handler dynamics. This is unacceptable. Then fire me. I'm sure you have plenty of other handlers lined up. Oh wait, you don't. Because everyone else quits or has breakdowns within 3 months. So you can accept that my methods work, or you can try finding someone else willing to enter that cell twice daily. The guard's eyes narrowed. Are you threatening us? I'm stating facts. You gave me this job because I got results. I'm still getting results. If you want me to treat him like a thing instead of a person, fine. But don't be surprised when cooperation drops and output falls to previous levels. Blake was quiet, calculating. Finally, he sighed. Stand down, Agent Cross. Handler Chin is correct, her results speak for themselves. However, he turned to Maya. From now on, sessions will be monitored more closely. No more unauthorized food. No more physical contact. You enter, perform handler duties, exit. Understood. It wasn't a question. It was an order. Understood, Maya said through gritted teeth. Good. You're dismissed for tonight. We'll be conducting an inspection of DA-001 cell and making adjustments to the extraction array. Resume your schedule tomorrow. Maya wanted to argue, to demand to know what adjustments meant, but the look on Blake's face told her pushing further would end badly. She turned to leave, but not before seeing Agent Cross smile, cold and cruel. Something bad was about to happen. Maya didn't sleep. She lay in her comfortable bed staring at the digital window, thinking about Damon alone in cell 0 while strangers made adjustments to his torture devices. At 0300, her tablet chimed, emergency medical notification, prisoner DA-001 experiencing critical vitals. All handlers on standby. She was running before she processed the message, throwing on uniform and sprinting for the elevator. The descent felt eternal. When she arrived, the corridor was chaos. Medical personnel rushed past. Alarms blared. And through it all, she could hear him. Damon was screaming. Not roaring. Not growling. Screaming in agony, a sound so raw it bypassed her mind and hit something primal that couldn't bear hearing another living thing in that much pain. "What did you do?" She grabbed the nearest medical tech. "What the hell did you do to him?" The DM agents, they increased extraction rate. Said we needed to test maximum output capacity. But his body can't handle. The tech's eyes widened as another scream echoed. "Oh God, we're killing him." Maya shoved past him and ran for the cell entrance. Rivera tried to stop her. "Handlerchen, you can't go in there, it's not safe," but Maya didn't care about safe. She punched in her access code with shaking hands. The inner door opened to a nightmare. Damon was on his knees, but not in submission. In collapse. The extraction cables glowed so brightly they were painful to look at, pulsing frantically as they drained everything. His skin had gone ashen, tattoos dim. Blood ran from his nose, his eyes, his extraction ports. He shook violently, his whole body convulsing as the array took and took and took. And through it all, his eyes found hers. "Maya," he gasped, blood on his teeth. "Run." But she didn't run. She ran toward him. "Handlerchen, step away from the prisoner." Agent Cross's voice crackled through the intercom. "You are in violation." Maya ripped out her earpiece and threw it aside. Damon tried to wave her back, hand trembling. "Don't." Another convulsion cut him off. The cables pulsed brilliant white. She reached him and dropped to her knees, hands hovering over his body, not knowing where to touch without causing more pain. Up close, she could see what the adjustments had done. The ports had been expanded, openings twice as wide, ringed with raw, burned flesh. They'd literally torn him open to drain him faster. "This is murder," she whispered. "They're murdering you." "Finally, figured that out?" He tried to smile, but it came out as a grimace. "Took you long enough. Don't talk. Save your strength." Maya looked frantically at the cables at the array. There had to be a way to stop this. An emergency shutoff, a manual override, something. "Can't stop it," Damon gasped. "Array, key to Warden's biometrics. Only he can shut it down." "Then I'll make him shut it down." She started to stand, but his hand shot out, catching her wrist. Even weakened to the point of death, his grip held her. "No. You go out there, making demands. They'll arrest you. Fire you. Worse." His purple eyes, dimmed but still glowing, locked onto hers. "Not worth it." "I'm not worth it." "Yes, you are." The words came fierce, absolute. "You're worth it, and this is wrong, and I'm not standing here watching them kill you." Something shifted in his expression, surprise, hope, and tenderness that made her chest ache. "My anchor," he breathed. "My impossible, foolish, brave anchor." The cell door burst open. Medical personnel flooded in, followed by Warden Blake and Agent Cross. Cross had her weapon drawn, a neural disruptor designed to incapacitate alphas. "Handlerchen, step away immediately." Cross advanced, weapon trained on Damon. "That is a direct order. Shoot me if you want, but I'm not moving." Maya positioned herself between Cross and Damon, her body a shield. It was laughable. She was 5'6" and barely 120 pounds. But it was all she had. "Cross, stand down." Blake's voice cut through chaos. He walked calmly across the cell, seemingly unbothered by screaming alarms and blood and dying primordial. "Handlerchen, you're emotional. Understandable. But you need to let medical do their job." "Their job?" "Their job is torturing him to death. Look at him. Look what you've done." "I've done what's necessary." The DM requested a stress test of our most valuable asset. "We're determining maximum extraction capacity before implementing new procedures facility-wide." "Yes, it's unpleasant. But the data we're gathering will optimize energy production for years." "He's not an asset. He's a person. He's a convicted mass murderer serving life sentence." His comfort is not my priority. Blake gestured to medical team. Stabilize him. We need him alive for another 6 hours of testing. No. The word came from Damon, barely a whisper, but somehow cutting through everything. No more. Everyone froze. Damon was pulling himself upright, shaking, bleeding, clearly dying, but rising. The chains rattled as he forced himself to his knees, then to his feet. 12 feet of battered primordial, glowing eyes fixed on Blake with intensity that dropped the temperature. I said, no more. His voice was gravel and broken glass and thunder. 10 years. 10 years I've let you drain me, chain me, break me, because I had nothing to live for, nothing worth fighting for. His eyes found Maya. That changed. The extraction cables began to shake. Crossfire. Blake backpedaled toward the door. Fire now. Cross pulled the trigger. The neural disruptor's blue energy bolt shot across the cell and stopped 3 feet from Damon, hitting an invisible barrier and dissipating into sparks. Impossible, Cross breathed. His power levels are nearly 0. He can't. Can't. Damon laughed, and it was the sound of something breaking. I'm a primordial. Do you know what that means? It means I was born from the first emergence. Before you domesticated us. Before you learned to chain us. Before you forgot what we really are. The barrier around him expanded, rippling outward. Medical personnel scrambled backward. The extraction cables began to smoke. I let you chain me because I was tired. Because my pack was dead and I wanted to die too. But then, his hand extended toward Maya. Then she came. She fed me. She saw me. She gave me something worth living for. Damon, don't. Maya understood what he was doing. He was burning himself out, using what was left of his life to break free. Please, you'll die. I'm already dying. His smile was sad. But I can choose how it ends. I can choose to protect you first. The barrier expanded again, and this time Maya felt it, a wave of pure energy washing over her like warm water. It didn't hurt. Instead, it felt like being wrapped in safety, in protection, in something primal that recognized her as pack, as precious, as worth defending. The extraction cables exploded. Not metaphorically. Actually exploded, showering the cell with sparks and shrapnel. Medical equipment shorted out. Lights went dark, replaced only by purple glow of Damon's eyes and residual luminescence from dying array. Lockdown. Blake was screaming into his comm, full facility lockdown. Prisoner DA-001 is. Damon roared. It wasn't like growls or threats Maya had heard before. This was the roar of a primordial at full power, the sound that had once echoed across northern territories and made armies retreat. It shook the vault's foundations. Concrete cracked. Steel groaned. Every light in sublevel 13 blew out simultaneously. And the chains, the massive, reinforced chains that had held him for 10 years, shattered. The sound was like gunshots, metal links exploding under pressure they were never designed to withstand. The shackles around his wrists and ankles fell away, clattering to the platform. For the first time in a decade, Damon Ashford was free. He stood in the darkness, glowing like a vengeful god, and Maya understood why the old world had feared primordials. Why they'd built the vault. Why they thought chains and arrays could contain something that was more force of nature than man. Run, he said softly, looking at Blake and Cross and medical staff frozen in terror. Run now. Before I remember how much I hate you. They ran. All of them, guards, medical personnel, Agent Cross dragging a protesting Blake, stampeded for the exit. The door sealed behind them with an ominous clang, emergency lockdown engaging. Steel blast doors dropped into place, leaving Maya alone in Cell 0 with a freed apex predator. The silence that followed was profound. Even the alarms had cut out, emergency power rerouting away from the cell. Just darkness, broken only by Damon's glow and the sound of their breathing. Damon swayed on his feet. The barrier around him flickered, weakened. Without the cables actively draining him, his power was regenerating, but the damage was done. He'd burned too much, pushed too hard. He was dying, just slower now. You should go too, he said without looking at her. When they come back, they'll have weapons. Real ones. They'll kill me this time, and anyone with me. I'm not leaving you. Maya, I'm not leaving you. She moved to stand in front of him, craning her neck to meet his eyes. You just broke free. You could have killed them. Could have escaped. But you sent them away to protect me. So no, I'm not abandoning you now. I can't escape. Look at me. He gestured at himself, at blood, at torn flesh around extraction ports, at trembling that wouldn't stop. I'm dead already. I just wanted to die free. And I wanted you, safe first. Then we'll figure something out together. Maya grabbed his hand, the same hand that had held hers so gently over shared meals, now slick with blood. You're not dying alone in this cell. Not if I can help it. Damon stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he sank back to his knees, bringing himself to her level. His free hand came up to cup her face, gentle despite the claws, despite the blood. How are you real? He whispered. How are you, this brave? I'm not brave. I'm terrified. I'm shaking so hard I can barely stand. But I'm also furious. They had no right to do this to you. And I'm not letting them finish the job. My anchor, he murmured. My alpha. I was wrong before, when I said you were mine. I'm yours. Have been, since you hit me with that mop. Will be, until my last breath. We're not dying here. How do you plan to prevent that? Maya didn't have an answer. She was a null janitor turned handler with zero combat training, zero escape plans, zero ideas. They were trapped in a reinforced cell 200 feet underground with blast doors between them and freedom. Even if Damon was at full strength, breaking out would be nearly impossible. In his current state, it was suicide. But she'd be damned if she'd give up without trying. Your pack, she said suddenly. The Shadow main pack. You said they were scattered, not all killed. Where would they have gone? The survivors were relocated. Designation camps, mostly. Why? Because if we can contact them, if we can get a message out somehow. Maya, even if I could reach them, they couldn't get here. The vault is a fortress. And most of my pack. His expression went distant. Most of them broke. They submitted. Accepted their designation assignments. They wouldn't risk themselves for a ghost from their past. All of them. He hesitated. No, not all. My second, Jared. If anyone kept the old ways, it would be him. But I haven't heard from him in 10 years. I don't even know if he's alive. Then we find out. Maya pulled out her tablet, miraculously still functioning despite the power outage, running on its own battery. What's his full designation name? The one the government would have on file. Maya, what are you? Helping you. That's what anchors do, right? She managed a shaky smile. Now tell me his name before I lose my nerve. Damon stared like she was the most incredible thing he'd ever seen. Jared Thornwick. Beta designation assigned to. I don't remember. Somewhere in the western sectors. Maya's fingers flew across the tablet, accessing the vault's database, which, as a handler, she technically had clearance for. She searched for Jared Thornwick, beta designation, western sectors, age range 40 to 50. There. One result. Jared Thornwick, beta, age 46, currently residing in Sector 7, employed as a construction supervisor. No criminal record. Model citizen, according to his file. But at the bottom, in notes, suspected continued loyalty to disbanded Shadow main pack. Monitor for seditious behavior. He remembered. He hadn't forgotten. I found him, Maya breathed. He's in Sector 7. He's alive. Hope flared in Damon's eyes, so bright it was almost painful. Can you message him? The vault's communications are locked down. I can't send anything external without authorization. She bit her lip, thinking. But my personal comm, the one they issued when I became handler. It's for emergencies, connects directly to city services if something goes wrong. Can it reach Sector 7? I don't know. But I'm going to try. She pulled up her personal comm interface, composed a message to the public directory for Jared Thornwick, and paused. What did you say? Hi, you don't know me, but your alpha is dying and needs help? Damon's hand covered hers, steadying her trembling. Tell him. The last wolf still howls. He'll understand. Maya typed, message for Jared Thornwick from Damon Ashford. The last wolf still howls. Acheron Vault, sublevel 13, cell 0. Come quickly. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The message sat there, status showing sending. For agonizing 30 seconds. Then, delivered. Now we wait, Maya said. Now we wait, Damon agreed, and collapsed forward into her arms. He was too big for her to hold properly. She staggered under his weight, barely keeping them both from crashing to the ground. But she managed, sinking down with him until they were both on the floor, Damon's head resting in her lap, while blood from his extraction ports seeped into her uniform. Stay with me, she whispered, running fingers through his sweat-soaked hair. Please, Damon. Stay with me. Always, he murmured, his eyes already closing. My anchor, my alpha, mine. And then he was unconscious, breathing shallow, skin cold despite feverish heat radiating from damaged ports. Maya held him while minutes ticked by, while her tablet's battery slowly died, while emergency lights outside the cell flickered and dimmed. She felt his pulse slow but steady, counted his breaths, talked to him even though he couldn't hear, telling him stories about the city above, about sunrise she'd never actually seen but had watched on digital displays, about the life she'd hoped for before designation tests had told her she was worthless. I think I understand now, she whispered to his unconscious form. Why you said I was dominant. It's not about biology or pheromones or designation system nonsense. It's about choice. About deciding who you want to be instead of letting others decide for you. You chose to protect me even though it meant dying. That's the most alpha thing I've ever heard. And I'm choosing to stay with you, even though it's stupid and dangerous and probably suicidal. So maybe we're both idiots. But at least we're idiots together. Damon's breathing hitched, and for a horrible moment she thought he'd stopped entirely. But then he exhaled, long and slow, and his hand twitched in hers. Still alive. Still fighting. The sound of metal groaning made her look up. The blast door. Someone was opening the blast door. Her first thought was that Blake had regrouped, that they were coming with weapons to finish what the extraction array had started. She positioned herself over Damon's body, ready to be the world's most ineffective human shield. But when the door finally screeched open, it wasn't Warden Blake standing there. It was a beta man, 6 feet tall with the build of someone who worked with his hands. Tribal tattoos covered his arms, different patterns than Damon's, but clearly from the same tradition. His eyes were amber, glowing faintly in the darkness, and they widened when they saw what was in the cell. Holy hell, he breathed. Damon. Jared. Maya's voice cracked with hope. Jared Thornwick? Yeah. I got your message, and he stopped, taking in the scene. The blood. The broken chains. The unconscious primordial in a janitor's lap. What happened here? They were killing him. Extraction stress test. He broke free, but he's dying. We need to get him out before the vault sends their execution squad. Yeah, I figured. Jared strode into the cell with confidence of someone who'd faced worse. How did you even get that message out? The vault's communications are fortress-level secure. Personal calm emergency use only. Clever. And insane. They're going to arrest you for this. I know. Maya met his eyes. I don't care. Can you help him? Jared knelt beside Damon, hands hovering over destroyed extraction ports. Damn. They really did a number on him. These ports need to be closed and sterilized or he'll die of infection even if we get him out. He looked at Maya. There's a pack healer in Sector 7. If we can get him there, she might save him. But that's a big if. Getting a 12-foot primordial out of the most secure prison in the city isn't exactly subtle. Do you have a plan? I have the beginning of one. I work construction. My crew just finished a project on sublevel 4. We left equipment, including a heavy-load transport platform. If we can get Damon onto that, we can move him through maintenance corridors to the loading bay. From there, he grimaced. From there we improvise. That's a terrible plan. You got a better one? Maya thought for exactly 2 seconds. No. Let's do it. All right. First things first, we need to stop his bleeding. Jared pulled off his shirt, revealing more tattoos beneath. He tore the fabric into strips with impossible strength for a beta, then began wrapping Damon's extraction ports with practiced efficiency. You're his handler? Yes. Maya chin. Null designation. Jared's hands paused for just a moment. Null? And you're bonded to him. We're not bonded. I'm just helping. Helping. Jared's amber eyes studied her with uncomfortable intensity. You're covered in his blood, risking your life for him, and he called you his anchor before he passed out. I heard that last part through the door. If that's not a bond, it's the closest thing I've seen. Nulls can't bond. That's literally the definition. And primordials can't be caged. Yet here we are. He finished wrapping the last port. My alpha once told me that designation is what society calls you, but pack is what you choose. You chose him. That makes you pack. Before Maya could respond, the sound of boots echoed in the corridor. Multiple pairs. Moving fast. Time's up, Jared said grimly. Can you help me lift him? He's 12 feet tall and probably weighs 600 pounds. Which is why I'm asking for help, not expecting you to carry him solo. Jared positioned himself at Damon's shoulders. On 3. 1, 2. The blast door exploded inward. Not from outside, from the corridor. Someone had attached breaching charges to the hinges. The door flew across Cell 0 like a missile, missing them by inches and embedding itself in the far wall. Through the smoke and sparks, a figure emerged. Female, Alpha, wearing tactical gear and carrying a weapon that looked entirely too large. Jared Thornwick, the Alpha said pleasantly, you have 30 seconds to explain why you're in an active lockdown cell with a fugitive handler and an escaped prisoner before I shoot all 3 of you. Sarah. Jared didn't sound surprised. Of course they sent you. I'm head of Vault Security. Where else would I be? The Alpha, Sarah, stepped fully into the cell. Sharp features, calculating eyes, a smile promising violence. So, explanation. Go. No. Jared stood, putting himself between Sarah and Damon. Not until you promise you're not here to kill him. Jared, he broke free. He destroyed a multi-million credit extraction array. He's cost the city a quarter of its power output. I have orders to neutralize him by any means necessary. Then you'll have to go through me. Sarah's smile widened. I was hoping you'd say that. Sarah. I didn't come alone, and I don't work for free. She lowered her weapon. Did you really think I came to kill him? Jared froze. What? I'm head of security, not a slave. I'd choose my contracts. And this one just got interesting. She looked at Maya. You're the null who got Damon Ashford to cooperate when 50 trained handlers couldn't. You fed him, talked to him, made him feel human. Then when they tried to kill him, you chose him over your own safety. That's either stupid or dominant. I don't understand. The vault operates on money. The city pays us to house alphas and extract their energy. But if an alpha's production drops below a threshold, they're not profitable anymore. And Damon Ashford just became very unprofitable. Sarah looked at Damon's unconscious form. The vault doesn't care if he lives or dies. They care if he makes them money. Right now, he's a liability. One I'm authorized to liquidate. Or, she paused. I could report that prisoner DA, 001 died during extraction stress test. Natural causes. And 3 people I've never met could take a definitely dead body out through maintenance corridors while I'm busy filing paperwork. Why would you do that? Jared demanded. Because Damon Ashford saved my life during the uprising. I was a soldier, 22, sent to round up wild alphas. My squad got separated and a feral pack cornered us. We were dead. Then your alpha showed up. She looked at Damon with reverence. He could have let us die. Should have, we were the enemy. But he fought off the feral pack, gave us time to retreat. That's not a monster. That's a leader with honor even in the middle of war. So you're helping us out of debt? Maya asked. I'm helping because it's right. Which I should have done 10 years ago instead of letting them lock him up and drain him. Sarah slung her weapon over her shoulder. Now let's move before Blake grows a spine and comes back with reinforcements. Jared, you know the routes. Yeah, good. I've disabled cameras on sublevels 4 through 9. Tower window, maybe less. Don't waste it. Together, Sarah and Jared lifted Damon. Maya grabbed supplies, her tablet, handler credentials, a blanket from the emergency locker. As they carried him out of Cell 0 for the last time, Maya looked back at broken chains, shattered array, blood-stained platform. This was where she'd hit a primordial with a mop and changed both their lives. This was where designation labels had failed. This was where the last wolf had broken free. And this, stepping through that door with a fugitive alpha and no idea what came next, this was where Maya-chan stopped being invisible. I hope you are going along with the story. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. The maintenance corridors of the Acheron Vault were a maze of concrete tunnels, exposed pipes, and flickering emergency lights casting everything in sickly yellow. Maya had worked here 3 years and never knew this network existed, a hidden infrastructure beneath the prison, now serving as their escape route. Jared and Sarah carried Damon on an equipment dolly they'd commandeered from a supply closet, his massive frame barely fitting on the industrial platform. Maya walked ahead with a flashlight, checking corners and intersections, her heart hammering so hard she could hear it. Left here, Jared directed quietly. This corridor leads to the freight elevator. We can take it down to the loading bay, less monitored than main lifts. Down. Maya stopped. We're already on sublevel 13. How much deeper does this place go? Sublevel 15 is the lowest. That's where they dump the bodies. Sarah said it matter-of-factly. Prisoners who don't survive extraction get incinerated and their ashes scattered in the reclamation system. The city gets energy from them alive and fertilizer from them dead. Nothing wasted. Maya felt her stomach turn. How many have died? Officially? 73 in 20 years. Unofficially? Double that. Maybe triple. They don't keep accurate records of alphas who stop being productive. The number hung in the air like a curse. Over 200 people, drained until they had nothing left, then burned like garbage. And the city above kept its lights on and never asked questions. This has to stop, Maya whispered. One rescue at a time, Jared said grimly. Right now, let's focus on getting Damon out alive. Then we can worry about revolution. They reached the freight elevator, a massive industrial platform designed to move equipment between levels. Sarah pressed her palm to the biometric scanner, which beeped acceptance. Security clearance. Thank God she was on their side. The elevator groaned to life, descending with a lurching motion. Maya knelt beside Damon, checking his pulse. Still slow but steady. His skin was cold, clammy with shock and blood loss. The makeshift bandages Jared had wrapped around his ports were already soaked through. How long until we reach your healer? She asked. If we make it to the loading bay without incident? 45 minutes to Sector 7 by transport. Jared checked his comm. I've got a crew waiting with a construction hauler, big enough to hide Damon in the cargo container. Once we're out of vault jurisdiction, we should be clear. Should be? The Department of Alpha Management has authority citywide, Sarah said. If they figure out Damon's alive and moving through Orin, they can mobilize a containment team. So we need to move fast and stay invisible. No stops, no delays, no. The elevator shuddered to a halt between sublevel 14 and 15. Problems, Sarah finished dryly. Emergency lights flashed red. An automated voice echoed. Security lockdown initiated. All movement suspended. Personnel remain at current positions. Blake found out, Jared said. Bastard must have overridden the camera shutdown. Sarah was already at the control panel, fingers flying. He's locking down the entire vault. Every elevator, every door, every corridor. We're trapped. Can you override it? Not from here. I'd need access to the main security hub on sublevel 1. She stopped, eyes widening. Wait. He didn't just lock down the vault. He triggered emergency containment protocol. What does that mean? Maya demanded. It means he's flooding all sublevels with neural suppression gas, designed to knock out rogue alphas during riots. Non-lethal, but extremely effective. In about 3 minutes, every corridor below sublevel 5 will be saturated. Damon might survive it given his primordial constitution, but Jared won't. He's still alpha-adjacent biology. And you? I'm a modern alpha. Heavily resistant, but not immune. Sarah looked at Jared. You need to get out. Now. I'm not leaving Damon. Jared, you'll be unconscious in seconds once that gas hits. You can't help him if you're comatose. Sarah gripped his shoulder. I can get the elevator moving manually, but I need you topside coordinating the extraction team. Make sure they're ready when we arrive. Sarah. That's an order, second. Your alpha needs you functional, not martyred. Move. Jared's jaw clenched, every line screaming rebellion. But after a moment, he nodded. Fine. But if you don't get him out alive, I'm coming back for both of you. Fair enough. Sarah pulled an access panel off the elevator wall, revealing a maintenance ladder. Climb. There's an emergency hatch on sublevel 10 that opens to the administrative wing. You can get out from there. Jared clasped Sarah's hand in a warrior's grip, then turned to Maya. Keep him alive, Null. He needs you. I will, Maya promised, hoping it wasn't a lie. Jared climbed, disappearing into darkness above. Sarah immediately turned back to the control panel, pulling wires and rerouting power with practiced efficiency. Are you really going to get us out? Maya asked. I'm going to try. But Blake isn't stupid, he knows I helped you. This is calculated. He's betting I won't sacrifice myself for a fugitive. Sarah's smile was sharp. He clearly doesn't know me well. The elevator shuddered back to life, descending again. But the movement was jerky, unstable. Sarah had bypassed the lockdown but couldn't fully control the system. How long before the gas reaches this level? Maya asked. 2 minutes. Maybe less. Sarah abandoned the control panel and moved to Damon, checking his vitals with combat medical training efficiency. He's critical. The stress test damaged more than extraction ports. His entire cardiovascular system is compromised. Even if we get him to a healer, his chances are maybe 50-50. Better than 0. True. Sarah met Maya's eyes. You love him. It wasn't a question. Maya opened her mouth to deny it, to say she was just doing the right thing, just helping someone in need. Yes, she admitted. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when he knelt. Maybe when he called me his anchor. Maybe the first time I looked at him and saw a person instead of a prisoner. But yes, I love him. Good. He's going to need that. Sarah pulled a compact respirator mask from her belt. When the gas hits, you put this on. It'll filter most of the neural suppressant, keep you conscious. I'll handle the rest. What about you? I'm an alpha. I can take more punishment than you. Sarah pressed the mask into Maya's hands. Promise me something, Null. If this goes wrong, if I don't make it, get him to the healer. Her name is Mira Ashwood. She lives above a butcher shop in the old quarter of Sector 7. Tell her Sarah Vex sent you. She'll help. We're both getting out. I appreciate the optimism. Sarah checked her weapon. But in case we don't. The elevator stopped at sublevel 15 with a bone-jarring crash. The doors opened onto hell. Sublevel 15 was exactly as advertised, a morgue and crematorium. Stainless steel tables lined one wall. Industrial incinerators glowed orange in the far corner, heat making the air shimmer. And in the center, standing perfectly still like a predator waiting for prey, was Warden Blake. He wasn't alone. 10 guards flanked him, all wearing hazmat suits with integrated respirators. All carrying weapons, not neural disruptors, but actual firearms. Live ammunition. Kill-on-sight protocol. Handler Chin, Blake said pleasantly. And head of security Vex. How unfortunate. I had hoped you'd make better choices, Sarah. I'm making the best choice, Sarah replied, stepping in front of the dolly carrying Damon. I'm choosing honor over profit. How noble. Also, how stupid. Blake gestured to the guards. You're both under arrest for aiding an escaped prisoner. Surrender now, and I'll ensure your trials are fair. Resist, and he shrugged. Well, this room is designed for disposal. It would be convenient. You're going to kill us either way, Maya said flatly. Don't pretend this is about justice. You're right. This is about liability. Blake pulled up a tablet showing stock reports. Damon Ashford's escape has cost the city millions in lost energy production. The board is demanding answers. Demanding consequences. If I deliver 3 dead fugitives and a contained situation, I keep my job. If I let you leave. He smiled. I don't. So it's just business, Sarah said. It's always just business. Then let's do business. Sarah raised her weapon, aiming directly at Blake's head. You let us walk out with Damon, and I don't put a hole in your skull. Simple transaction. The guards raised their weapons in response, 10 barrels now trained on Sarah and Maya. Mexican standoff in a crematorium. This was how they'd die, shot like dogs and burned like waste. But then Damon groaned. It was soft, barely audible, but in the tense silence it sounded like thunder. Everyone's attention snapped to the dolly where the primordial was stirring, purple eyes flickering beneath closed lids. He's waking up, one guard said nervously. Sir, if he wakes up fully. Then shoot him again, Blake snapped. Headshots. Make sure he doesn't. Damon's eyes opened. And the world went purple. It wasn't light, it was power, raw and primal and absolutely furious. It erupted from him like a shockwave, slamming into everyone in the room with physical force. Guards were thrown backward into walls. Blake stumbled, his tablet clattering away. Even Sarah staggered. But Maya, standing closest, felt no pain. Instead, the power washed over her like recognition, like coming home, like a voice in her bones saying, mine. Pack. Protect. Damon rose from the dolly with supernatural grace, despite his injuries, despite the blood loss, despite being on death's edge. 12 feet of vengeful primordial, chains broken, extraction ports bleeding, and absolutely done with being caged. You made a critical error, Warden, he said, voice resonating with power that made the incinerators flare brighter. And what's that? Blake was scrambling backward, fear finally cracking his professional composure. You threaten my anchor. My alpha. My mate. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Mate. Not anchor. Not handler. Mate. The bond that nulls supposedly couldn't form. The connection that should have been biologically impossible. And yet every alpha in the room, including Sarah and the guards, felt it snap into place like a physical thing. The air itself resonated with the force of it. Maya felt it too. Not like pheromones or designation imperatives, but like something fundamental had aligned in the universe. Like a puzzle piece clicking into place. Like coming home to a place she'd never been but somehow always belonged. Impossible, Blake whispered. Nulls can't. Your designation system is broken, Damon growled, taking a step forward that cracked the concrete beneath his feet. My mate is exactly where she should be. With me. Protected by me. And anyone who threatens her dies by me. The guards opened fire. 10 weapons, full automatic, enough firepower to take down a building. Bullets filled the air, a wall of lead and death. None of them reached Damon. He roared, and the sound was reality itself bending. The bullets stopped midair, hovering in a sphere of purple energy around him. For a moment, they hung there like deadly rain frozen in time. Then Damon flicked his hand, and the bullets reversed trajectory. Guards screamed. Dove for cover. The bullets embedded themselves in walls, in equipment, in everything except flesh, because despite his fury, despite his power, Damon wasn't a killer anymore. He'd been one once, but 10 years and one impossible null had changed him. Sarah, he said calmly, as if he wasn't holding bullets in midair with his mind, get Maya out of here. What about you? I'll handle the warden. We have unfinished business. His smile was all teeth. Go. Now. Sarah didn't argue. She grabbed Maya's arm, pulling her toward a side corridor marked Maintenance Access. Maya resisted, trying to stay with Damon, but Sarah was stronger. He needs to do this, Sarah said urgently. Needs to face the man who tortured him. Let him have this closure. He's dying. Then let him die standing, not running. Sarah pulled harder. Trust him. Trust that he knows what he's doing. The last thing Maya saw before Sarah pulled her into the corridor was Damon advancing on Warden Blake, power crackling around him like lightning, purple eyes blazing with 10 years of accumulated rage. And Blake, for the first time in his career, looking like prey instead of predator. Sarah led Maya through a maze of corridors at a dead run, taking turns that seemed random, but were clearly memorized. Behind them, sounds echoed, crashes, roars, screams. The sound of a primordial unleashed. He's going to kill Blake, Maya panted. Probably. Shouldn't we? No. We get to the extraction point and pray Jared has our ride ready. Damon can handle himself. You're the one he's worried about. They reached a door marked Emergency Exit, Loading Bay. Sarah slammed her palm against the access panel. The door opened onto a massive concrete cavern. One truck sat idling, its cargo container open. Jared stood beside it with 3 others, all bearing tribal tattoos marking them as pack. Where's Damon? Jared demanded. Settling accounts with the warden, Sarah said. An explosion shook the vault. Massive detonation. Concrete walls cracked. Dust rained from ceiling. Emergency klaxons wailed. Automated voices announced evacuation. What the hell was that? One of Jared's people asked. Sarah stared at her tablet, at damage reports scrolling. Her expression was between horror and awe. He destroyed the main extraction array. All of it. Just ripped it apart. The energy feedback, Maya's mind raced. If he destroyed it while active, the energy would cascade back through the entire system. Taking out every extraction port in the facility, Sarah finished. Freeing every prisoner, Jared said slowly. He just liberated the entire vault. The loading bay's emergency doors began opening. Through them came alphas. Dozens of them. Thin, weak, still bearing extraction ports, but free. Unchained. They stumbled into the bay like ghosts seeing light for the first time in years. Behind them, supporting a burned and barely conscious Blake, came Damon. He looked worse. New burns covered his arms where he'd torn apart the array, extraction ports bleeding freely, swaying. But he was smiling. Genuine savage joy. The wolves, he announced to the freed prisoners, voice carrying despite exhaustion, are going home. A cheer erupted. Weak, hoarse, but genuine. People who'd forgotten they had voices finding them again. Damon's eyes found Maya across the bay. Even dying, his gaze was intense enough to make her breath catch. Damon. She ran to him, ducking under his arm to support his weight. Up close, he was barely standing, held upright by will alone. You idiot. You beautiful, stupid idiot. You could have died. Worth it, he murmured, leaning heavily. Freed them all. Destroyed the array. Made sure they can't do this again. Worth dying for. You're not dying. Not if I have anything to say about it. She looked at Sarah. We need to move. Now. Agreed. Jared, get everyone loaded. Priority transport for Damon. Everyone else packs in however they fit. We've got maybe 10 minutes before the city deploys response teams. Organized chaos followed. Freed prisoners loaded into trucks, cars, anything that could move. Jared's pack moved with military efficiency, directing traffic and providing first aid. Damon was laid in the cargo container of the main truck, Maya climbing in beside him. Sarah and Jared took the cab, engine roaring. As they pulled out onto the access ramp leading to surface, Maya looked back at the prison that had been her workplace and Damon's torture chamber. Smoke poured from vents. Emergency lights flashed. In the bay they'd left, freed alphas scattered into the city, disappearing into alleys and shadows, running as far from the vault as weakened legs could carry them. It was the beginning of something. Revolution, chaos, change, Maya didn't know. But it was something the city couldn't ignore. Did we just start a war? She asked softly. Damon's hand found hers in the darkness. No, my anchor. We just ended one. The rest is up to them. The truck climbed toward surface, toward sunlight neither had seen in far too long, carrying two impossible people toward an impossible future. The truck burst through the final security checkpoint with alarms shrieking behind them, Sarah's security override barely holding long enough to get past the gates before the entire system locked down. Maya felt the moment they crossed from underground to surface, a subtle change in air pressure, a whisper of wind that tasted like freedom. Then she saw it. Real sunlight. It poured through gaps in the cargo container's walls, golden and warm, and nothing like the digital displays she'd watched for 3 years. Maya had been born in Orem, raised in its towers and tunnels, and couldn't remember the last time she'd seen actual sky. The sight made her throat tight, because Damon was dying in her arms. His breathing had gone shallow, each breath a struggle. The makeshift bandages were completely soaked through, and his skin had taken on a gray pallor that made him look more corpse than living being. His purple eyes still glowed, but dimly, like dying embers. Stay with me, Maya whispered, gripping his hand. We're almost there. Just a little longer. Maya. His voice was barely audible over the truck's engine. If I don't make it, don't. Don't you dare say goodbye to me. Need to tell you. He coughed, blood flecking his lips. The bond. It's real. I feel it. Feel you. Like you're part of my soul now. Didn't think primordials could bond anymore. Thought that died with the old ways. But you. Damon, please. Save your strength. No strength left to save. He managed a weak smile. Just needed you to know. You're not broken. Never were. You're perfect. My perfect, impossible mate. His eyes closed. His hand went slack in hers. Damon. Maya screamed, shaking him. No, 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 wake up. Jared. Sarah. He's not breathing. The truck swerved violently as Sarah took a corner too fast. Jared's voice crackled through the comm unit mounted in the container. 2 minutes to the healer. Keep him alive, Maya. Keep him alive. How? She wasn't a doctor, wasn't a healer, was just a janitor who'd stumbled into something far beyond her understanding. But she had to try. Maya pressed her ear to his chest, listening. There, a heartbeat. Faint, irregular, but there. He wasn't dead yet. She thought about the bond he'd mentioned. About the connection she'd felt when his power had washed over her in the crematorium. She'd felt it then, something fundamental clicking into place, like a door in her soul opening. If the bond was real, if they were actually connected, maybe she could use that. Maya closed her eyes and reached inward, searching for that feeling. For the thread that tied her to this impossible man who'd called her his mate. For anything that might help. And she found it. It felt like a golden thread running from her heart to his, stretched thin and fraying, but still intact. She could feel him on the other end, his pain, his exhaustion, his fading will to keep fighting. Don't leave me. She sent down the thread, not knowing if it would work, if he could even hear her. "I just found you. We just found each other. Don't you dare leave me alone." For a moment, nothing. The thread continued to fray. Then, impossibly, she felt a response. Not words, something deeper than words. An emotion. Recognition. And beneath it, a stubborn determination that was so fundamentally Damon it made her want to laugh and cry simultaneously. "My anchor," came the feeling, not words. "My alpha. My mate. Can't leave. Won't leave. Promise." His heartbeat strengthened. Not much, but enough. Enough to buy them the time they needed. The truck screeched to a halt. The cargo container doors flew open, revealing a narrow alley in what had to be Sector 7's old quarter. Ancient brick buildings leaned against each other like tired old men, facades covered in faded murals and generations of graffiti. The smell hit her: spices, cooking meat, garbage, life. So different from the sterile vault. Jared was already there with 2 pack members, a burly alpha male and a small, fierce-looking omega woman. "Get him out. Carefully. Myra's place is 3 buildings down, the one with the blue door." They lifted Damon with practiced efficiency. The pack moved like they'd done this before. Probably had, Maya realized. This wasn't their first rescue, just their biggest. The blue door opened before they reached it. A woman stood framed in the doorway. She was ancient, at least 70, maybe older, with silver hair in long braids and eyes that glowed soft amber. Alpha, but old enough that her designation felt more like a title than biology. She wore simple clothes covered by a stained apron, hands gnarled with arthritis. "Jared Thornwick," she said, voice surprisingly strong for her age. "I told you the next time you showed up at my door with half-dead pack members, I was charging double. Then it's a good thing I brought full dead instead of half." Jared managed a grim smile. "Mira, we need your help." "It's..." Myra's eyes found Damon, and her expression transformed into something Maya couldn't quite read. Shock, certainly. But also recognition. And something that might have been grief. "Damon Ashford," Mira whispered. "Dear gods. They finally broke him." "Not broken," Damon mumbled, still conscious, but barely. "Just dramatically wounded. Get him inside. Now." Mira stepped aside, revealing a space that was part apartment, part medical clinic. Surgical lights hung from ceiling. Medical equipment lined walls. A large table, clearly designed for treating alphas, dominated the center. They laid Damon on the table, and Mira immediately began cutting away makeshift bandages. When she saw the extraction ports, her weathered face went hard. 10 years, she said quietly. 10 years they kept him in that place. Draining him. Torturing him. She looked at Maya. "You're the null handler Sarah mentioned on the comm?" Yes." Maya chin. "The one who bonded him?" We're not." Maya stopped, looking at Damon's unconscious face. "I don't know what we are. He says we're mates, but I'm null. That's not supposed to be possible." Myra's laugh was dry. "Child, half of what's possible stopped being supposed to be 40 years ago when the emergence happened. If a primordial alpha says you're his mate, then you are. Biology will catch up with reality eventually." She turned to Jared. "I need everyone out except the null. She's packed now, she stays. Everyone else, out, and let me work." Mira. "Out, Jared. Or I'll throw you out, arthritis be damned." The pack filed out reluctantly, leaving Maya alone with Mira and the dying primordial. Mira worked with the efficiency of someone who'd been doing this for decades. She hooked Damon up to monitors, started 4 lines, cleaned and sutured extraction ports with steady hands that showed no sign of her age when it mattered. "I need you to talk to him," Mira said without looking up from her work. "If you're truly bonded, he'll hear you. He'll hold on for you when he wouldn't hold on for himself." "What do I say?" "Whatever he needs to hear." Myra's eyes flicked to Maya briefly. "What would make you fight to stay alive if you were in his position?" Maya thought about it. About 3 years of being invisible, of being told she was worthless, of accepting that her life would never matter to anyone, about how that had changed the moment a 12-foot monster had knelt for her. She took Damon's hand and leaned close to his ear. "I'm nobody," she said softly. "I'm an old janitor who hit you with a mop because I was too tired to be scared. I don't have special powers or pack connections or anything that makes me worthy of being called your mate. But you looked at me and saw something I couldn't see in myself. You called me dominant when the whole world called me broken. You gave me purpose when I thought I didn't have any." His fingers twitched in hers. "So here's what I need you to understand, Damon Ashford. You don't get to die now. You don't get to save everyone else and then quit. Because I'm not done with you. I'm not done learning what it means to be your anchor. I'm not done discovering what we could be together. And I'm definitely not done hitting you with cleaning supplies when you're being stubborn." A sound? Was he laughing? Even unconscious, even dying, he was laughing at her. "That's right, you ridiculous man. You stay alive so I can properly scold you for destroying an entire prison without a plan. Stay alive so I can feed you more mediocre cafeteria food and watch you act like it's a 5-star meal. Stay alive because She stopped, the words catching in her throat. "Say it," Mira said quietly, still working. "He needs to hear it. Stay alive because I love you," Maya finished. "And I don't say that easily. I don't feel things easily. Being Noel means I've spent my whole life not feeling what I'm supposed to feel. But this I feel. This is real. And you don't get to take it away from me by dying. So fight. Please, Damon. Fight." The monitors beeping in the background suddenly stabilized. Damon's heartbeat, which had been erratic and weak, found a steady rhythm. His breathing deepened, evened out. "There," Mira said with satisfaction. "That's what I needed. He's fighting now. The rest is up to his body and time." She finished the last suture and stepped back. "He'll live. Probably. The damage is extensive, and primordial healing isn't what it used to be after years of extraction, but I've seen worse cases recover." "Thank you." Maya's voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. He's not out of danger." Mira washed her hands in a steel sink. "The physical wounds will heal, but the psychological damage from 10 years of captivity? That's harder to fix. He'll have nightmares, flashbacks, maybe episodes of uncontrolled power. And that's assuming the DM doesn't find him first. They're looking for him? Of course they are. You just freed their most valuable prisoner and destroyed their primary extraction facility. They'll be hunting all of you." Mira dried her hands and looked at Maya seriously. "You need to understand what you've become part of. Jared's pack, what's left of the original Shadow Main, they've been running an underground railroad for years. Helping Alphas escape designation camps, hiding them from damn authorities, giving them new identities. It's dangerous work. People die. And now you're part of it. I don't know how to be part of a pack. I'm null. You keep saying that like it means something." Mira sat down heavily. "I'm going to tell you what the emergent survivors know but younger generations forgot. Designations are a human invention. Labels we created to understand what was happening 40 years ago when people started changing. Alpha, beta, omega, just words we put on biological imperatives we didn't understand. And null? That's just the label for people who didn't fit our neat categories. But I can't feel pheromones. I can't bond the normal way." "Who says there's a normal way?" Mira leaned forward. "I've been a healer 50 years, child. I've seen bonds form in ways that defy every scientific explanation. I've seen alphas bond with betas, omegas with omegas, and yes, even primordials with nulls. The bond isn't about biology, it's about recognition. About two souls finding each other and saying, yes, you, I choose you. That's what happened between you and Damon. You chose each other. Everything else is just details." Maya looked at Damon's unconscious form, at the monitors tracking his slowly stabilizing vitals. "He called me his mate. And do you accept that? Do you choose him back?" Did she? This was insane. She'd known him less than a week. He was a convicted killer, a fugitive, and she was throwing away her entire life for him. The smart thing would be to walk away, claim she'd been coerced, go back to being invisible. But when she thought about leaving, about never seeing those purple eyes again or hearing that gravel-rough voice call her my anchor, something in her chest felt like it was being ripped out. Yes, she said. I choose him. I don't fully understand what that means yet, but yes. Mira smiled, the expression transforming her weathered face. Then your pack. Welcome to the Shadow Main, Maya-chan. Damon woke 3 days later. Maya was dozing in the chair beside his bed. She'd barely left his side, surviving on catnaps and meals Mira brought, when she felt the bond flare with consciousness. Her eyes snapped open to find purple eyes staring back at her. Hi, she said stupidly. Hi, he rumbled, voice rough from disuse. Did we die? Is this the afterlife? No, you ridiculous man. We escaped. You're in Sector 7. Mira saved your life. Mira Ashwood? She's still alive. Wonder crossed his face. She was our pack healer before the consolidation. I thought they'd killed her. She's tough. Also very insistent that I talk to you while you were unconscious. Apparently I said some embarrassing things. I heard every word. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone with impossible gentleness. You love me. I was under duress. It might not count. It counts. He smiled, and this time there was warmth in it, real happiness instead of savage joy or dark amusement. You're my mate. I'm yours. And we're both alive, which is more than I dared hope for. About that. Maya took a breath. Mira says I'm pack now. That when you claimed me as your mate, it made me Shadow Main. But I don't know what that means. I don't know how to be pack. I don't know the traditions or rules or... Stop. Damon's thumb pressed gently against her lips. Pack isn't about traditions or rules. It's about belonging. About having people who'll stand with you when the world stands against you. You've already proven you can do that. Everything else you'll learn as we go. We're fugitives. The DM is looking for us. Mira says it's not safe. It's not. His expression went serious. I won't lie to you, Maya. The life we're choosing, it's dangerous. The DM won't stop hunting us. The city will want revenge for the vault. And pack life is hard even without being hunted. If you want to walk away, if you want to claim you were coerced and go back to... She kissed him. It was awkward. He was 12 feet tall, and she had to lean up from her chair to reach him, and neither had practice at this. But it was real, and it was theirs, and when she pulled back, his eyes were glowing so brightly she had to squint. I'm not walking away, she said firmly. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Choosing us. Even if it's dangerous and stupid and probably suicidal. My anchor, he whispered reverently. My alpha. My mate. My Maya. Yours, she agreed. And you're mine. Which means you don't get to make self-sacrificing decisions without consulting me anymore. We're a team now. Partners. Partners, he agreed. I like that. He started to sit up, then groaned as his body reminded him he was still healing. Easy. Maya helped him, adjusting pillows. Mira says you need at least another week before you should be moving around. We might not have a week. Damon looked toward the window, where artificial evening light was fading to night. The DM won't stop with the vault. They'll be sweeping every known pack location, every safe house. Myra's place is probably already on their list. As if summoned by his words, the door burst open. Jared rushed in, face grim. We've got a problem. Damn sweep teams just hit 2 safe houses in Sector 9. They're working their way through the city, rounding up everyone with suspected pack connections. He looked at Damon. Brother, I'm glad you're awake, because we need to move. Tonight. Move where? Maya asked. Outside the city. There are settlements in the wastes, places the government doesn't bother patrolling. Old pack territories that were never fully cleared during the consolidation. If we can make it there, we'll be beyond damn jurisdiction. The wastes? Damon's expression was complicated. That's Northern Territory. Or what's left of it. It's home, Jared said simply. or as close as we're going to get. The question is, can you travel? Because if we wait for you to fully heal, we're all getting arrested. Damon looked at Maya. She could see him calculating, weighing his condition against danger to the pack. She knew what he was about to say, that he'd stay behind, draw the dam's attention while the pack escaped. No, she said before he could speak. Maya, no. We're partners, remember? Which means we make decisions together. And I'm not leaving you behind to play hero. She turned to Jared. Can he travel if I help him? If we take it slow, it'll be rough. We're talking a 3-day journey through territory that's not exactly friendly to pack wolves. But with support. Jared studied Damon. Yeah, he could make it. Then we go. Tonight. All of us. Maya stood, surprised by the authority in her own voice. What do we need to do to prepare? Jared's expression shifted into something that might have been respect. Myra's already packing supplies. Sarah's coordinating with the other freed prisoners. Those who want to join us will meet at the rendezvous point. We've got transport arranged, fake IDs prepared, and a route mapped that should avoid most damn checkpoints. Should avoid? Damon raised an eyebrow. Nothing's guaranteed. But it's the best chance we have. Jared moved to help Damon stand. Can you walk? Damon got to his feet with obvious effort, swaying but remaining upright. I can walk. I can fight if I need to. And I can damn well make it to the wastes if that's what it takes to keep my pack safe. Good. Because we leave in 2 hours. Jared headed for the door, then paused. And Damon? It's good to have you back. Really back, not just alive. The Alpha we remember, the one who'd burned down the world for his pack. We missed him. I missed me too, Damon admitted quietly. After Jared left, Maya helped Damon into clothes Mira had provided, reinforced fabric designed for alphas, loose enough to accommodate his size and injuries. He moved stiffly, each motion clearly painful, but he moved. Maya, he said as she adjusted his shirt, I need you to understand something. Where we're going, the wastes, it's not like the city. There's no authority, no laws except pack law. It's dangerous. And I can't promise I can always protect you. I don't need you to protect me. I need you to be my partner. My mate. That's enough. You say that now, but... She took his face in both hands, making him look at her. Damon Ashford, I stood between you and armed guards. I helped destroy the vault. I bonded with a primordial alpha when my biology says it's impossible. I'm not some fragile thing that needs protecting. I'm your mate. You're equal. And if the wastes are dangerous, then we'll face that danger together. Understood? He stared at her for a long moment, then laughed, that full-bodied sound she'd first heard in Cell Zero. My fierce anchor. You're right. I keep forgetting you're the one who hit me with a mop. And I'll do it again if you keep trying to protect me from my own choices. Noted. He pulled her close, careful of his injuries, and rested his forehead against hers. Maya Chin, you're the most extraordinary person I've ever met. And I'm terrified that loving you is going to get you killed. Then we'll die together. But I don't think we will. I think we're going to make it to the wastes. I think we're going to rebuild the pack. And I think we're going to prove that impossible bonds can survive anything. She smiled. Call it null optimism. There's no such thing as null optimism. Nulls are supposed to be pragmatic to the point of pessimism. Then I guess I'm breaking that rule too. I'm making a habit of it. Good, Damon said, and kissed her properly this time, gentle and fierce and full of promise. Break all the rules, my love. I'll break them with you. 2 hours later, they left Myra's sanctuary. Damon leaning on Maya, Maya leaning into the unknown, both stepping forward into a future with no guarantees except each other. Behind them, the city of Orem gleamed with stolen light. Ahead of them, the wastes waited with all their dangers and possibilities. And between them, the bond glowed golden and unbreakable, proving that some things were stronger than designation, stronger than law, stronger than the systems designed to keep them apart. Love. Pack. Choice. The things that made them human, even when the world tried to make them into something else. Mira stood at her doorway, watching the convoy of vehicles disappear into the night. Sarah joined her, weapons slung over her shoulder. "Think they'll make it?" Sarah asked. "I think they have something most fugitives don't," Mira said. "They have each other. They have Pac. And they have a bond that shouldn't exist, but does anyway." She smiled. "That's more powerful than anything the Dam can throw at them." "I hope you're right." "So do I, child. So do I." Inside the lead vehicle, Maya held Damon's hand as they drove toward the city limits, toward the edge of everything they'd known, toward a life that would be harder, but also freer than anything they'd experienced. "Ready?" Damon asked softly. "No," Maya admitted. "But I'm doing it anyway. That's my alpha." And as the city lights faded behind them and the wild darkness of the wastes opened ahead, Maya Chin, former Null janitor, now mate to a primordial alpha and member of the Shadow main pack, realized that being ready was overrated. Sometimes you just had to choose to move forward, even when you couldn't see the path. Sometimes you just had to trust that the person beside you would catch you if you fell. Sometimes you just had to believe that impossible things could survive. And sometimes that was enough. The convoy reached the wastes 39 hours later, as dawn broke over a landscape that looked like the end of the world. The transition from outer territories to wastes wasn't gradual, it was a hard line. On one side, abandoned but still intact buildings, cracked roads, signs of civilization gone to seed. On the other, a vast expanse of wild terrain that had reclaimed itself after humanity retreated. Forests had grown up through old cities, trees bursting through concrete and steel. Rivers had changed course, carving new paths. And everywhere, the signs of the emergence, places where reality had warped during that first chaotic transformation 40 years ago and never quite settled back to normal. "Beautiful," Damon breathed, standing at the edge of the convoy and staring out at his ancestral territory. "I'd forgotten how beautiful it was." "It looks dangerous," Maya said, eyeing what appeared to be a tree growing sideways, defying gravity. "It is. Very dangerous. But it's also free." He took her hand. "This is where the old packs lived, before the consolidation. Where we ran and hunted and built communities that didn't need the city's approval to exist. This is home." Jared joined them, a map spread across his hands. "According to the old territorial markers, we're at the southern edge of what used to be Shadow main territory. The main pack grounds were about 50 miles north, near the Silver Thread River." "Are they still there?" one of the younger alphas asked. "The pack grounds, I mean?" "Unknown. It's been 10 years since any of us saw them. But pack grounds are built to last, reinforced structures, underground shelters, natural defenses. Even if they're damaged, they'd be easier to rebuild than starting from nothing." "Then north we go," Damon decided. His voice carried authority now, the alpha emerging fully. "We'll send scouts ahead to check for threats. The rest of the convoy follows at a safe distance. If the pack grounds are compromised, we find new territory. If they're intact, we reclaim them." "And if something's already claimed them?" Sarah asked. "Then we negotiate. Or we fight. Depends on who we find." Damon's expression was hard. "But one way or another, we're not turning back. The Shadow main pack is home. And home is worth fighting for." The pack moved out, vehicles struggling through terrain not meant for modern transport. Twice they had to abandon trucks that couldn't navigate the wild landscape, transferring supplies to those that could. It was slow, exhausting work. But no one complained. Because with every mile deeper into the wastes, they felt it, the weight of the city lifting. The pressure of being watched, judged, extracted, controlled. Out here, there were no designation enforcement officers. No extraction quotas. No one to tell them what they should be. Just earth and sky and the freedom to become whatever they chose. By noon the next day, they found it, the old Shadow main pack grounds. The compound sat in a valley carved by the Silver Thread River, natural stone walls on 3 sides and water on the 4th. Wooden structures, halls, homes, training grounds, stood intact, weathered but solid. Gardens had gone wild, but were still gardens, full of edible plants that had self-seeded year after year. And in the center of it all, a great hall with the shadow mane symbol carved above the door, a wolf's head wreathed in silver flame. "It's still here," Jared whispered, emotion thick in his voice. "After everything, it's still here." Damon walked forward alone, approaching the hall like a pilgrim approaching a shrine. He placed his hand on the carved symbol, and something in the gesture felt ritual, sacred. "I'm home," he said simply. "We're home." The pack flooded into the compound, exploring, exclaiming over structures they remembered or discovering spaces they'd never seen. The freed prisoners who'd joined them from the vault looked around with wonder. Many had never seen pack grounds before, had been imprisoned before they could learn their heritage. Maya hung back, feeling like an intruder. This was their history, their territory there. "Come," Damon called, extending his hand to her. "See what we're building. What we're going to build together." She took his hand and let him lead her through the compound. He showed her the great hall where pack meetings had been held, where disputes were settled and bonds were celebrated. The training grounds where young alphas learned to control their strength. The gardens where omegas had cultivated herbs and medicines. The workshops where betas crafted tools and art. "It's like a whole city," Maya said, odd. "But built for pack instead of profit." "That's exactly what it is. Was. Will be again." Damon stopped in front of a building that looked like it had once been a home, larger than the others, positioned at the highest point of the compound. This was the Alpha's residence. "My home, before the consolidation. I thought I'd never see it again. Do you want to go inside?" He hesitated. "Not yet. Too many ghosts. Too many memories of what I lost." He turned to face her. "But one day when we've rebuilt, when the pack is strong again, when the wounds have healed enough, I'll go inside. And you'll be with me. Because you're my future, Maya. Not my past." That's a lot of pressure to put on an old janitor. Good thing you're not just an old janitor anymore. You're Maya-chan, mate to the Shadow Mane Alpha, co-leader of a pack, and the woman who helped destroy the Acheron Vault. I'd say you've been promoted. Some promotion. From mopping floors to leading fugitives. "Best career move ever," Damon said, and kissed her while the Wast's wind blew around them and the pack began the work of rebuilding below. The first week was brutal. Not because of external threats, those would come later, but because of work. The compound had survived 10 years of abandonment, but it hadn't thrived. Roofs needed repairs. Wells needed clearing. Gardens needed replanting. And every task had to be done manually because they had no power grid, no modern conveniences. Maya discovered muscles she didn't know she had. Her hands, which had only ever pushed mops, developed calluses. Her body learned what real exhaustion felt like. But she wasn't alone. Everyone worked. Damon threw himself into rebuilding with intensity that bordered on obsessive. Jared organized work crews with military precision. Sarah trained those who wanted combat skills. Mira, who'd come with them, taught foraging and survival techniques. The pack was coming together. On the 7th day, the pack gathered in the Great Hall for their first formal meeting. Someone had managed to get the old fireplace working, and flames crackled cheerfully. The hall could have held 200 easily. With only 60 pack members, it felt cavernous. But it also felt right. Like the beginning of something. Damon stood at the head of the hall, Maya beside him. She'd tried to argue that she should sit with the others, but he'd been insistent. She was his mate, his co-alpha, and she belonged at his side. 10 years ago, he began, voice carrying easily. The Shadow Mane pack was destroyed. Our territory taken. Our people scattered. Our way of life erased. The government told us we were too dangerous to exist freely. That we needed to be controlled, managed, extracted. They told us we were resources, not people. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. For 10 years, I believed them. I let them chain me. Let them drain me. Let them break me. I gave up. His eyes found Maya. And then I met someone who refused to give up on me. Who saw a person instead of a prisoner. Who chose to care when caring was dangerous. Every eye turned to Maya. Maya taught me something I'd forgotten, Damon continued. That we're defined by our choices, not our circumstances. That designation is just a label, not a destiny. That a null can be an alpha, a prisoner can be free, and broken things can be made whole again. He turned to address the full pack. We're here because we chose to be. Because we decided that freedom was worth fighting for. Worth risking everything for. And now we have a choice to make. What do we build here? Do we recreate the old ways exactly as they were? Or do we build something new? Something better? What did you have in mind? Asked an older alpha named Marcus, who'd been imprisoned for refusing designation testing. A pack without designation hierarchies, Damon said. A place where alphas don't automatically outrank betas or omegas. Where nulls aren't considered broken. Where strength comes from community, not from biological imperatives. That's not how packs work, Marcus protested. There has to be structure. Hierarchy. Order. I'm not suggesting no structure. I'm suggesting structure based on merit, contribution, and choice instead of biology. Jared is my second because he's proven himself reliable and skilled, not because he's beta. Sarah heads security because she's the best tactical mind we have. Mira teaches survival skills because she knows them, not because of their designations. And what about Maya? Someone called from the back. She's null. What does she contribute? Maya stepped forward before Damon could answer. You're right. I don't have alpha strength or beta skills or omega nurturing instincts. I was a janitor. I mopped floors and was completely unremarkable. But I learned something in the vault. The most important people aren't always the most powerful. They're the ones who show up every day. Who do the work nobody else wants to do. Who care when caring is inconvenient. She looked around the hall, meeting eyes. I can't fight like Sarah or organize like Jared or heal like Mira. But I can haul water. I can chop wood. I can hold someone while they have nightmares and remind them they're safe. And I can stand here and tell you that every single person in this hall matters, regardless of designation. Because we're pack. And pack takes care of each other. Silence. Then Mira started clapping. Sarah joined her. Jared. One by one, the entire pack rose to their feet, applauding. Maya stood there, overwhelmed, as 60 fugitives showed her that she wasn't invisible anymore. That she'd earned her place not through power but through presence. When the applause died down, Damon spoke again. So here's what I'm proposing. We build the Shadow main pack on 3 principles. 1. Pack is chosen, not assigned. Anyone who wants to be here, who'll work for the collective good, is welcome regardless of designation. 2. Leadership is earned through action, not inherited through biology. We'll have structure, but it'll be based on capability and trust. 3. We protect each other. From the DM, from the city, from anyone who tries to cage us again. We're done being victims. Done being resources. We're wolves. And wolves don't bow. Wolves don't bow, the pack echoed, the words resonating through the hall like a promise. That night, as the pack settled in around campfires and the stars emerged overhead, real stars, not the light-polluted sky of Orem, Damon found Maya sitting by the river, watching the water flow. Regrets? He asked, sitting beside her. Not one. She leaned into him. You. Only that I didn't break out sooner. That I wasted 10 years in that cell when I could have been fighting. Building. Living. His hand squeezed hers. But I wouldn't have met you if I'd escaped earlier. So maybe everything happened exactly when it needed to. That's surprisingly philosophical for someone who literally destroyed a prison last week. I contain multitudes. Besides, you bring out the best in me. Before you, I was just waiting to die. Now I'm... He looked out at the pack grounds, at the people finding their places, at the future they were building. Now I'm home. We're home. Maya thought about the city she'd left behind. About the vault, about her tiny quarters, about the life that had felt like slowly drowning. And then she thought about this, the wastes, the pack, the impossible man beside her who'd called her his mate and meant it. "Yeah," she said softly. "We're home." And under the stars in the wastes, surrounded by a pack of wolves who'd chosen freedom over safety, Maya Chin Knoll, janitor, nobody who'd become somebody, finally understood what it meant to belong. Not because of biology or designation or any label someone else had given her, but because she'd chosen to matter. And others had chosen to see her. That was enough. That was everything. The last wolf had howled, and the pack had answered. And together, they'd build something the world had tried to destroy. Something stronger than chains. Stronger than fear. Stronger than the systems designed to keep them apart. Pack. Love. Freedom. The things worth fighting for. The things worth living for. The things that made them whole. A mop to the face. A primordial on his knees. 2 words that changed everything. Make me. If this is your kind of romance, then Emmy Romance Collection is your new home. Subscribe now for stories where fierce heroines meet their match, alphas bow to true equals, and love defies every impossible odd. Don't just read romance, feel it. Join the pack today. Fire Purple Heart Wolf Face.